Will ticker PLTY make you rich? Today we're going to be looking at investing $10,000 into PLTY and seeing how much money it would have made you if you had invested in January of 2025. Now I know we've only had a couple months in this market and it has been absolutely insane, but PLTY continues to outperform most of the other YieldMax ETFs. I'm really excited to see this thing finally running. Once again, it was beaten down ever so slightly, but the dividends have been phenomenal, and I can definitely tell by just the comments on my videos that you guys are interested in this one. So we'll chart 10K, see how much money you can make in 10, 20, even 30 years. Of course, after we dive into the dividends and the drip calculator, because this thing has had a wild history, but a profitable history at that. So, of course, if you guys are interested in ETFs, in making money in the stock market, you are in the right place. Don't forget to like the video and to subscribe so you never miss future free content. As always, thank you guys so much. Let's roll that intro. Hasn't been the best start of the year for PLTY. It's down 12.25%, which is $8.66. It's currently trading at $62, which is still pretty high compared to a lot of the other YieldMax ETFs. Now, although it is down price-wise, it is not down overall with the dividends paid out. I will say that. We've seen some insane dividends coming from this ETF, and I'm really excited to dive into the dividend history and see more about it. I will say PLTY, I've had my eyes on it for a while because I put it in our $1,000 YieldMax ETF challenge where I bought 10 different YieldMax ETFs, and PLTY has consistently been outperforming the rest, including MSTY. And I'm a big fan of MSTY as well. I'm really a big fan of anything that's making me money, of course, and I'm sure you guys are as well. So what we're going to do now, we're going to check out PLTR's price chart and just see how it's been performing since the beginning of 2025. Up 63% year to date. Absolutely phenomenal. In mid to late January, it really started to rise, and then February just blew up. So it went from $65 in January to over $124 in February before selling back down to $80, which is still really high for this stock. Then again, we've now seen it reach new all-time highs, hitting $130 a share. Absolutely remarkable, and selling back off a little bit to $123 where it sits currently. Now, PLTR is a really interesting stock. It's been getting a lot of hype in the news, on Reddit, on all sorts of social medias, and I definitely agree that this is a long-term stock. It's one of my favorite long-term stocks. It is overinflated for me right now, so I'm not buying the common stock, but I do also wish that PLTY was able to recoup some of these gains that PLTR itself has made. It really hasn't. Like I said, it's down 12% on the year, which isn't terrible. But again, the dividends are a massive factor because it's been paying out huge payments these last couple of months. And I am really happy about that. It's nice to get some price appreciation and, of course, some dividends as well. But all in all, we need to check out the PLTY website to see more. I will say do your own due diligence always. I'm not buying PLTR at these prices. It's too expensive for me, but check it out yourself. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, not financial advice. Let's check out YieldMax.com. 147.89% distribution rate or dividend yield. Absolutely crazy. Now I'm going to go through some of the boilerplate info about YieldMax ETFs in case you guys are new, but we're going to do it quickly. So one, the fund does not directly invest into PLTR. That is important. So if you think PLTR's price is going to boom, you may be better off just buying PLTR if you think it's going to double versus buying PLTY for current income. But again, not financial advice. Investing in this fund involves a high degree of risk, and that is true. I've seen some of these YieldMax funds absolutely tank, and I've seen some absolutely soar. The important thing is trying to figure out which is going to do which. So like I said, that's why I have the $1,000 YieldMax account, and we do have a few that are really performing well this year. So sliding down performance, distribution details, we're going to check this out on seekingalpha.com because I like to see the graph form. I think it shows more, but the fund overview. And I want to reiterate this for those of you that might be new to this ETF. PLTR, the option income strategy ETF PLTY, is an actively managed fund that seeks to generate monthly income by selling/writing call options on PLTR. PLTY pursues a strategy that aims to harvest compelling yields while retaining capped participation in the price gains of PLTR. Which is kind of what I just said. If you really think PLTR is going to double, PLTY is a current income, not a long-term growth style of ETF. And maybe it could be, we haven't seen that yet. Now, and I would imagine that it's not going to be a long-term growth ETF. Just depends on how PLTR trades. and the implied volatility. The gross expense ratio, 0.99%, which is very high. I know we've talked about this. I've seen a few that go up to 3% even. This isn't terrible, but I do wish it was lower. Writing options is not my favorite thing to do, so I'm okay with paying someone part of an expense ratio to do it for me, but, you know, all in due time. So that's what we're going to talk about so far. Let's dive into the dividend history of this ETF. And again, check out the website if you're interested on your own. So here's why the hype behind PLTY is as insane as it is. We can see the last dividend payment was $7.04. Now this one is a $62 ETF, so it's not cheap, but that is crazy. That is huge. We've seen it go from $2 to $3, back down to $3 to $2, up to $5, almost to $6, back down to $4, and this last one, $7, which is it's a wild amount, absolutely wild amount. We can go here. We see Seeking Alpha has it at a 56% yield. That's not true because it hasn't been trading. I don't think it's been trading for the full year. No, it hasn't, not even close. So that's why the payments are a little bit off. And I will say, I'm probably going to mess this up in the video at some point. PLTY pays 13 times a year. It's every 4 weeks, technically. It's not monthly, but I'm probably going to say monthly on accident because all the calculators we use and whatnot do monthly. They don't do it every 4 weeks, so it's going to even throw off our calculation a little bit. But because I like to err on the side of caution with these a lot of the times, it's not going to hurt our total return too much. But all in all, the dividend history is phenomenal. I'm very excited to see how this thing continues to perform in 2025 if PLTR continues to run. But if you don't believe me, let's check out its year-to-date performance and shush all the people that are saying this thing is a complete scam. We are on dividendchannel.com. I have PLTY plugged in, and we can see the start date January 1 of 2025. So just year-to-date returns. When I blow this up, we can see it is impressive. So a $10,000 investment on the first of this year would net you $13,820 currently with dividends reinvested. We did see it fall. It was even negative at one point and then bounced back. Very, very impressive. This is a total return of 38.2% in under 6 months. Then we get the annualized gain, which is just the returns we've seen so far factored into a full year, and you get 99.6%, meaning you'd nearly double your money if it traded this way for the entire year and you had invested at the beginning of the year. Now, again, what's the saying? They say past returns are not indicative of future returns, meaning we don't know what it's going to do. And I agree with that. We don't know what the market's going to do. We don't know how these funds are going to do. But this is impressive. With dividends not reinvested, it's not a huge difference. We have a 30% total return and an 80% annualized return, which is very solid. And again, your 10K is now worth just under $13,000. And this is why they're saying it's a scam. And take everything as you want. Take everything with a grain of salt. If you think YieldMax ETFs are a scam and they're not for you, that's fine. If you love them and you're a big fan of them, do what you want with them. But take everything with a grain of salt. These are risky ETFs, and we've seen some crazy risk reward with PLTY so far, while during the same time, some of the other ETFs from YieldMax have been underperforming pretty heavily. So of course, that's what I like to say to people, do what you want to, do what your investing strategy, tells you what to do. But again, do your own due diligence, not financial advice. Let's check out our calculation for 10K invested and see if PLTY is going to be one of the best ETFs we've ever seen. Now, I calculated the yield myself. I took all the distributions so far this year, added them together, divided by the number to get the average, and then I multiplied that by 13 to get what it would pay out if it continued paying out the same rate as it has. And so that ended up being 103% annually. I did a few more math that I didn't include because it's a little bit boring, but that's our dividend yield. Now I'm going to factor in at the end the price decline that we've seen, which would be down by about 24%, which it's still going to be a phenomenal return, but we need to factor in the losses because we can't just talk about the gains. Now, everything else as well, we have monthly distributions, drip is on. We have about 161.2 shares, and we're not adding anything annually. It's going to be our 10K invested start to finish, and our dividend tax rate. Now, I get comments about the dividends all the time. Dividends are, depending on how they're paid out, distributions are usually taxable, I believe, depending on the ETF. Don't double check me on that. Do double check me on that in the comments, but the taxes can be insanely high, like up to 30-40% depending on how much money you make. I invest primarily in a Roth, and so since everyone has different taxes and some people are in a Roth and some aren't, factor in the taxes on your own, all right, based off your tax rate. So again, this is all assumptive. I'm taking how it has performed at the beginning of the year and factoring it for a full year, and then taking that full year and factoring it for 10, 20, 30 years out, which it's not going to perform this way. I don't know if it's going to perform worse. It seems like it would because it's been performing so well, but all of this is assumptive. I'm going to get comments, I always do, and that's okay, saying, this is stupid. We don't know what it's going to do. And I agree. We don't know what it's going to do. I'm just showing you guys how it would perform if it did this in a long-term scale, because it's phenomenal. And it would make people millionaires, probably even trillionaires, maybe even quintillionaires, because we're nearly doubling our money every single year, which is nearly impossible to do if you're just picking stocks. So all that being said, let's dive in. After 1 year, your 10K is already worth nearly $27,000 for a 170% return. And it's only going to get crazier. It really is. You also are getting $10,000 in dividends per year. No, you can't live on that, but I guarantee after 5 years you'd be able to, because now you're getting $854,000 in dividends in just 5 years. So now we're at 1.4 million. This is probably the fastest I've ever seen these climb. So we're just going to kick through it because, yeah, 121 million in dividends. Our 10K is worth 200 million. I mean, it's just going to be, we're already in the quintillions. And so this just shows you this thing has been returning an insane amount of money. An insane amount of money. And yes, this last distribution really helped kick up that total. But in 30 years, could you retire on this? You probably could. You're getting... So normally this works really well, this calculation, for just throwing in the numbers and seeing how things have been performing. But this just goes to show you, if it were to keep this up, this performance specifically, for just 5 years, 10K with dividends reinvested monthly would still net you $1.4 million off of a $10,000 investment, or a 14,000% return. So again, is it going to do this? No, it's not going to perform this well. The market comes and goes. It sways. It goes up. It goes down. Could it do this? Yes, there's a small chance that it could, and that if someone who invested 10K would get this return. But all in all, it's just been an outstanding performance from PLTY. How long is it going to go for? I don't know. But the minute the dividends start to slow down, you can find the info on this channel right away. So as always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And again, we would have to take out our 24% or 25% roughly. So you're still getting almost $1 million, which is pretty solid. Maybe even a little over $1 million. So as always, do your own due diligence, not financial advice. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to enjoy this one called Retire on ticker MSTY, which is another YieldMax performer that has been doing phenomenally well. And as always, don't forget, if you want a new brokerage that has all the weekly dividend payers and all the YieldMax ETFs, check out my link for Moomoo down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.